In this video, we're going to discuss clothing. Let me start by answering something I've been asked many times. You cannot have the recording device hanging from a string, or in a pouch, or in someone's pants pockets. All such recordings will have noise that will make automated analysis impossible. Your only option is to have a recording device worn about 15 centimeters away from the child's mouth, as stable as possible with respect to the child themselves. This means one of two things, either in a custom size or adapted pocket, or clipped to the child's outermost layer of clothing. We speak about each in turn. Let us start with custom size pockets. If you're planning to use the LENA device, you're probably going to buy the clothes they are selling, usually t-shirts. These t-shirts are excellent, like the device, but like the device, they may seem quite pricey, about $25 per unit. If you have chosen babyloggers, we also recommend LENA clothing. We explain why in a moment. If you don't want to buy LENA t-shirts, you have a few other options. First, you can try and replicate LENA's design, meaning having t-shirts with a pocket sewed on them. In our experience, buying 100% cotton t-shirts and having a pocket sewn on them is going to cost you more or less the same as buying LENA t-shirts, with a lot more hassle, since you need to find someone to do the sewing, send them a prototype, etc. If you're using LENA or Babylogger as your device, then you're probably better off buying t-shirts from LENA. However, you may have no choice than having custom-made clothing. This could happen because you work in conditions where t-shirts are not ideal. Perhaps it is too cold, with children outside most of the time wearing several other layers of clothing, in which case the recording will be muffled. It may also happen because you have chosen the USB system or a handheld recorder. These devices wear pockets that are a different size from LENA's device, and therefore the LENA pocket. In this case, what we suggest is that you make pockets where the device can fit perfectly snugly, so that it doesn't move while recording, and this avoids recording too much noise. The pocket must be really very tight, so that there is absolutely no friction between the clothing and the recording device. Additionally, the t-shirt itself should be tight against the child's body and not hanging loose. Second, you can buy a t-shirt that already has a pocket, even if the pocket is not the right size, as long as you stuff something in it so that the device doesn't move. You can use fabric or cotton, whatever you use. You just need to consider that the family should be able to retrieve the device to turn it off and on, and put it back after turning it on, without causing bad quality data. That is, parents may put the stuffing in front of the device rather than behind it, so that they cause the sound to be muffled. Additionally, you need to consider whether the stuffing may present any kind of hazard to the child. When having a t-shirt made with a pocket, please ask the sewing person to sew a pressure button on the pocket, like the ones LENA t-shirts have. This person will probably complain about this because they're hard to make if you do them by hand, but there really is no alternative to these pressure buttons, because they're both child-proof and easy to use by parents and researchers. Plus, they make sure the device doesn't fall off. One alternative we used in the past is Velcro strips. These are fine if you work in an urban setting, which is very clean, and if you're not going to use the t-shirts over and over. We used them in a field setting and we were not happy with them. To begin with, dust and/or sea air caused the Velcro not to stick. Also, as we washed them, they became less adhesive. The last option you have for closing the pocket is a regular button with a buttonhole. You should think carefully before pursuing this, because if the children you're going to work with are a certain age, for instance old enough to play with the button, but young enough to not realize the risk, small buttons can be a choking hazard. We're also going to discuss some alternatives to t-shirts if none of the options above are good for you. If you're going to work with populations where t-shirts are just the lowest layer of clothing because people live in cold places, then t-shirts are simply not a good idea because there are always going to be more clothes on top of the recorder, and this will cause noise and muffled sound. In this case, an excellent alternative are vests. LENA doesn't sell them anymore, but you can ask around and see if someone still has them because they're really terrific. The child can wear them as inner or outer layers of clothing, so they can be a good solution for moderate and cold climates. How about places where it's so warm that children often do not wear any clothing? Well, a possibility is that you create a system of straps that kind of looks like a harness or a bra. One researcher that uses them is Marisa Casillas. We give a link to her paper in the resources section of this video. The paper contains a picture of her harness. It has a pocket on the front where you can put the device and elastic straps to fit children of different ages. It can be used in very warm climates as the only layer, and also in very cold climates as the outermost layer. Another option is to buy a money clip or a very large paper clip so that you can attach the device onto the child's t-shirt or sweater. If you do that, remember to check whether there is something in the system that might cause a choking hazard. The clip needs always to be child-proof and child-friendly. Remember also that families need to access the on-off button to make use of their right of withdrawal. I've already said this, but I cannot repeat this enough. To ensure the best quality audio, first, try to use clothing where the device is completely stable. That means tight-fitting clothing, device firmly attached. You want to avoid noise from clothes rustling as much as possible. Second, place the recorder in the outermost layer of clothing possible to avoid muffled sound.